Good afternoon and welcome to everyone in the Ohio University family, as well as honored guests, both from the Athens community and from beyond. I'm Bob Frank. I'm the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, and Classics and World Religions is a department that's within Arts and Sciences, and I guess that's why I'm up here at the moment, serving as the Master of Ceremonies. We're pleased to share we are pleased that you could share with us the introduction of Drs. Ram and Sushlia Gawande Chair in Indian Religion and Philosophy. We're very fortunate to begin our event with a performance of Indian classical music by Hasu Patel on sitar and Vishal Nagar on tabla. And so, are we prepared to do that? Maybe we aren't prepared to do that. Oh, we are? Okay.
Namaste and good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor and privilege to be here for this big occasion for the Gawande family, and we are so fortunate that we'll share our music with you. I am going to perform classical music of North India called Hindustani music for minutes. This music is so divine, and we are just offering to the divine power this music. I request everybody here, if you can refrain from eating and drinking for until I play, it will be honor to the divine power. And this afternoon, I'll play the evening afternoon rather. And with me, there is Sabala Prayer came from California with great painstakingly last night, today in the morning, from California. And he's a wonderful young man. I played many times in California with him. And his name is Vishal Nagar. His mother is also an artist. And we are going to perform for minutes.
I wanted to personally thank Hasu Patel and Vishal Nagar for being here. A little bit of background about Hasu Patel is that she is an internationally recognized musician and performer of classical sitar. She trained under the great Ustad Vilayat Khan, who's one of the great masters of Indian classical music, and she plays in a style that is unique to him called a Gayaki tradition. And she's also a composer who has also taught at Oberlin College, and so it was really an honor for us to have her here, and I wanted to personally thank her. And Vishal Nagar, who also teaches at many universities and has performed with many great classical Indian performers as well as masters of world music. And I'm honored to have him here as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much for such an engrossing performance. I wanted to move the program along by, first of all, recognizing that we have the First Lady of Ohio University here, Deborah McDavis. And it's my honor to introduce Dr. Roderick McDavis, the 20th President of Ohio University, who will be sharing his thoughts on this occasion.
Thank you very much, Dean Frank. What a magnificent day. What a wonderful day. Bringing all of us together to lift up the Gawande family. We could not have a better occasion. You know, Deborah and I have had the privilege of serving as the first family of Ohio University for now in our 10th year. We've met many people in this community, and I must tell you that this is a special privilege for us. This family has done so much for this university, for this community, as is evidenced by the turnout today. We think so much of this family that we are just honored to be a part of this wonderful, wonderful occasion. So I am very pleased to welcome everyone to this wonderful occasion for the Doctors Ram and Sushi Gawande Chair in Indian Religion and Philosophy. At Ohio University, the Gawande Chair is held by a scholar of Hinduism with knowledge of Sanskrit, Indian religious traditions, and writings and philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi. Chair is funded through the Ram and Sushi Gawande India Endowment. This endowment supports study abroad, educational outreach, teaching, research, service, and other programming opportunities related to strengthening the partnership between Ohio University and Gopikabai Sitaram Gawande College. I got that pretty close. Endowed chairs such as the Ram and Sushi Gawande Chair in Indian Religion and Philosophy assist Ohio University's vision of providing transformational educational experiences to our students. This year's Gawande Chair will surely enhance Ohio University's ability to provide students with a firm grasp of the globalized world into which they will graduate. We thank the Gawande family for their generosity and continued support of higher education, and we look forward to welcoming the newest Gawande Chair into the Ohio University family. At the end of my remarks, again, let me just share a personal reflection. One of the things that marks all of us is what we give and what we leave. And that so much typifies Ram, as well as Sushi and their family. They've given, and now they leave their mark. They leave a mark that will forever, forever be part of our great university. We cannot thank you enough. We will always be here to extend the hand of friendship to you and your family for all that you have done and continue to do for this great university. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you, President McDavis. And I don't know what I'm supposed to say after that. I did not have the fortune to meet Dr. Ram Gawande, but I have met other members of the family, and thank you again for your support for the Gawande Chair and for the India Endowment. I think it's difficult to exaggerate the positive impact that your generosity is going to have. As I understand it, the Gawandes wanted students at Ohio University to learn about Mahatma Gandhi, his teachings, and the great philosophical and religious traditions of India. The endowment for the chair of Indian religion and philosophy was meant to ensure that the work of building ties of friendship and respect between India and America would continue through education at Ohio University, and that a legacy of Gandhi would live in students who would shape the future. These goals are well aligned with the values and the aspirations of the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm confident that the Gawande Chair will have a significant impact, not only on the college and the university, but more broadly, locally here, certainly in Athens, and I think in the global community as well. It's my pleasure now to introduce the Chair of Classics and World Religions, Professor Bill Owens.
Thank you. As the chair of the Department of Classics and World Religions, it's my pleasant duty to introduce the newest member of the department, and that would be Assistant Professor Brian Collins, who will occupy the Drs. Ram and Sushlia Gawande Chair of Indian Religion and Philosophy. But before I call Brian up, I'd like to take a few minutes to tell you about the department that he'll be joining. I'd like to tell you about the department's most important obligation to Ohio University students and how the Gawande family's generous gift will help us fulfill that obligation with more students and with more lasting significance. The scholars who research and teach the ancient Mediterranean world and those who research and teach the world's religious traditions are scholars in the humanities. Each of us, as an individual scholar, is a specialist in some area, the religious and social traditions underlying Solomon's temple in Jerusalem, for example, the agricultural economy of Bronze Age Greece, the religions of Indonesia in the context of colonialism and globalism. Though each of us may be more or less narrowly specialized in our research, as humanities scholars, we're contributing each of us some little bit to a greater project. This project began long before we were born and will continue long after we're gone. I'm referring to the ultimate mission of the humanities themselves, the quest to understand the full breadth and variety of human experience across time, place, and culture. Humanity is too various, too complex, and too contradictory to be understood from the perspective of any single time, place, or culture. But the disciplines of the humanities free us from a kind of monocular vision of when and where we were born. These disciplines enable us to see humankind through the lens of other times, other places, other languages, other traditions. The humanities disciplines give us a kind of humanistic, stereoscopic vision that helps us to understand humanity in 3 dimensions, as it were. As teachers of the humanities, we aspire to give this vision to our students. It's our most important obligation as teachers. We don't always succeed. It's much easier to teach our student facts about the ancient world, about the ancient Greeks and Romans, or facts about the world's religious traditions. But when, from these facts, our students see beyond themselves, when they see beyond the world that is immediate and familiar to them, when they begin to realize that to be a human being is far more various, complex, and contradictory than they'd ever imagined, then they will have learned from us a lesson that's without any price. Then we'll have truly transformed them. The generous gift of the Gawande family enables the Department of Classics and World Religions at Ohio University to teach them that lesson more often to more students, and I think with greater effect. For the Gawandes have made it possible for us to bring to our faculty Dr. Brian Collins. Brian received his doctorate in the history of religions in 2010 from the University of Chicago. He's a specialist in Hindu mythology and ritual and is the author of the forthcoming book, The Head Beneath the Altar, Hindu Mythology and the Critique of Sacrifice. Brian is a specialist whose research will, I confidently predict, bring himself and the Gawande chair and this department and university some degree of renown. But Brian is also a humanist who, as a teacher of Ohio University students, will contribute with us to that ultimate task of humanities scholars, the task of transforming minds, of getting our students to understand the variety and complexity of what it means to be human. Please join me in welcoming Brian Collins to Ohio University.
Thanks, Bill, and everyone. I'd like to first address a few noteworthy historical circumstances that will help us understand how the Gawande family's generous endowment of the chair in Indian religion and philosophy really stands as a watershed, not only for the study of India at Ohio University, but for the study of India in today's globalized world. In 1786, just as Congress was debating the Northwest Ordinance that would make this very university possible, another and equally critical development was taking place on the other side of the world. In Calcutta, the capital of British India, the great philologist and statesman Sir William Jones was making a historic speech to the recently founded Asiatic Society. Oriental Jones, as he was called, proposed that the classical languages of Greek and Latin were closely related to the ancient Indian language of Sanskrit, and that henceforth they should be considered as part of the same language family, the Indo-European language family. The modern study of comparative linguistics and its close cousin, comparative religions, dates to this moment, in which a Western official living in his adopted home of India first introduced Indian learning to the classics. Today we are looking at a mirror image of this foundational moment, and that speaks volumes about how our world has changed. Today, we express our gratitude for the generosity of a pair of Indian doctors and philanthropists living in their adopted home of Athens, Ohio, for reintroducing Indian learning to the classics through their establishment of this chair in the Department of Classics and World Religions. Sir William Jones rightly predicted in 1786 that studying the culture and history of India would give us a richer understanding of our shared human heritage. But I doubt he could have predicted what we are seeing here today. The study of Indian language and culture has been ripped free from the drawing rooms of British Calcutta, into which no actual Indians were allowed. Instead, it has been put in the service of this great project that Bill was talking about, the humanist project of understanding who we are, where we are going, and how we can live together in the meantime. I thank the Gawandes for making such a significant contribution to this new tradition of learning. In Sanskrit, the word for tradition is parampara, which means literally from one to another. In ancient India, it was tradition in the form of direct teacher-to-student transmission that was the only method worthy of passing on the collected body of sacred knowledge known as the Vedas. For centuries, the Vedas were composed, transmitted, and memorized with an astonishing high degree of accuracy. So much so that in recent years, scholars have found Vedic oral traditions independently maintained hundreds of miles apart for hundreds of years that have preserved the same text without changing so much as a syllable. The ancient Indians had writing, but writing was for invoices and receipts and promissory notes. Writing was for commerce, and something as important as knowledge could not be trusted to the whims and caprices of commercial interests. Perhaps there's a lesson here. The ancient Indians also believed that when we died and our bodies were placed on a funeral pyre, our souls would travel up the path of smoke to the world of the ancestors and the gods. Later tradition began to develop the idea that there were other paths for our souls to follow, paths based on the goals to which we devoted our lives. There were 3 ways to make your life count, to join your individual existence to what Princeton philosopher Mark Johnston calls the onward rush of humanity, and in so doing to live beyond death. All 3 of these paths are reflected in the lives of Ram and Sushlia Gawande, whose generosity we acknowledge today. The first path is that of action. Action is what links our lives to others in the most direct way. Ram Gawande's life exemplifies the truth that to pull ourselves out of poverty is admirable, but can only be meaningful when we use our success as a platform from which to extend that same opportunity to others. Ram and Sushlia Gawande's actions to improve the circumstances of the sick and the underprivileged now and in the future are examples that show us all how we can extend our presence beyond the bounds of time and space that delimit our earthly lives. The second path is that of knowledge. Any college teacher will tell you that acquiring knowledge, especially knowledge of his or her own discipline, is good for the soul. It's especially true with world religions. But the kind of knowledge that connects us to humanity as a whole is the knowledge that we add to the world's store, either by producing it ourselves or helping others to produce it. Whether it be in the form of scientific discovery or, just as important, a new way of thinking about the world around us that allows us to change it. The knowledge we bring to the world causes us to become part of the future in a real way. The final path is devotion. And according at least to that pivotal Hindu text, the Bhagavad Gita, it is the highest. The straightest path to the absolute, to the limitless, is pure and unqualified devotion. Devotion to the absolute, the text tells us, is always modeled on the way we are devoted to others, to each other, to our families, to our friends, to our teachers and students, and to our communities. But besides the devotion we practice, there is also the devotion that a fortunate few of us can inspire in others. I never met Ram Gawande, and I never will. But I've seen the devotion he has inspired in others because it lives on today. I've seen the devotion of the faculty at Ohio University who benefited from his generosity and his friendship, the devotion of his colleagues at the Rotary and the Friends of India who served alongside him, and the devotion of his wife and children who always know us in a way that no others do. And I can see the truth of the idea that it is possible to know a man who we have never met through his actions, through the knowledge he has added to the world, and through the devotion he's inspired in others. And I thank the Gawandes and Ohio University for allowing me to be part of this particular little stream of action, knowledge, and devotion feeding into the onward rush of humanity. Thank you.
right, great choice. Where's that search committee? All right, let me find my place here. In the next part of the program, we'll have a few words from Amita Gawande and Brooke Hollowell.
Welcome, everyone. It is so meaningful and touching to be here in this moment in time. I'm so moved and touched by the words that everyone has expressed today, President Bob and Bill and our new Gawande chair. I want to talk a little bit about the second endowment that my mom and dad gave. I can't help but just reflect on the fact that it was in this same space that we had the memorial service for my father. And it is so meaningful to be here in this moment of renewal and rebirth and continuation. My mom and dad sought to create a legacy, and everyone here is part of that legacy. I know from our childhood here, my brother and I, as children, the first Indian families that were here when we came, the Rajus and the Koshals and the Jains, they were here before us and they paved the way. And as a child, I couldn't have even dreamed that India could really have a home here that it now does in so many ways, through the chair, through the partnership, and beyond that, through Friends of India, through the community that has been here for so long and that has branched out and spread its wings to so many parts of the US and India. One of the dreams, in addition to the Gawande chair, was to establish a partnership between Ohio University and a college in India. My dad always used to say, I want to bring the best of America to India, and I want to bring the best of India to America. And this is what he sought to accomplish in these two gifts, to have a professor here teaching Indian religions and religious studies and philosophy, and to have a partnership that would enable Ohio University with its resources and talents to bring America to India. And so this partnership that we have that is Ohio University and GSG College is just a microcosm of this international partnership. It is where we are in the world today. We have a global economy now. We are so affected by every other part of the world. And the Ohio University partnership with GSG is just a microcosm of what's happening across the world. So first of all, the name. Gopika Bai Sitaram Gawande, a mouthful. Gopika Bai was my father's mother. In India, a lot of times you will refer to women as sister. Bai means sister, so she was Gopika Bai. Sitaram was my father's father. In India, it is common when you marry to take both your husband's first name and last name. So she became Gopika Bai Sitaram Gawande. And in that way, you illustrate the union between husband and wife as one. My father's mother died of malaria when he was very young. She had never seen a doctor, she'd never seen a nurse. she had only seen kind of an Ayurvedic medicine man. Many of you know the story of how my father as a child spoke to this medicine man and tried to save his mother's life, but he couldn't. And that planted a seed in him of wanting something better for himself, for his village, for the people that he loved. So when he took on the project of supporting this college, which I'll tell you a little bit about, he was given the opportunity to give the college a new name. And he said, I want to name it in honor of my mother. 60 years have passed since she died, but the region continues to suffer from many of the same socioeconomic issues that my father faced at that time. I want to tell you a little bit about the region. Umercade is the town where the college is located. Umercade has a population of 40,000 people, like Athens, Ohio, a population of 40,000 people. Now, we're happy to say that there is an airport 2 hours away. Sound familiar? And along the road as you drive from that airport in Nanded to Umercade, you will see farms and farmers and animals grazing. Umercade is in a district called Yoathmal. And we all know about the relative position that India holds as a developing country. And within that context of being a developing country, India named this district of Yoathmal one of its most backwards regions of India, a region that suffers from a lot of the issues to a more extreme degree. And you will find this in various regions of India, particularly in what they call the interior, or the rural areas of India. You have the urban centers, and you have newly developing urban centers with names of cities that many of you have heard of: Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Mangalore, Chennai, that are advancing so quickly in the world and in the world economy. And then you have the interior, the places that take longer to get to. And not only does it take longer for people to get there, it takes longer for infrastructure to get there. And so while India is advancing so quickly in the economy, the rural regions lag behind. And this is where we can step in to narrow that gap. There was just recently an article that came out in the New York Times that spoke about how in India, in the 80s, based upon India's poverty standards, which are different than the poverty standards in the US, but in India's poverty standards in the 1980s, about 50% lived below the poverty line. Now we are looking at 20% living below the poverty line. So you see a growth and birth of the middle class. But there is a dearth of skilled workers. As the economy is growing, there is a demand and a need for skilled workers, and there are not enough people to fill that need. And this is where education comes in. So Yoathmal district, one of the most struggling regions in India, is not unlike Athens County and southeastern Ohio and the Appalachian foothills. The 2010 census reported that the city of Athens and the county of Athens were among the poorest in the United States, to put that in context. Yet, here, and supposedly among the poorest cities and counties, we have Ohio University. A well-established university with incredible offerings, international programs. Here in this region, we have such a fine university. And it is the dream of Gawande College to be a fine university, a fine college within that region that also is connected to the global economy. It was my father's belief that in order to uplift a region, one way to do it is through education. So in the 1980s, as my brother and I were getting ready to graduate from high school, and my parents were probably getting ready for the empty nest syndrome, my father started to think about, how can I do something to help this region of India where I came from? And he spoke with family there and with people there, and they told him about a college. There was a college then named the Arts and Commerce College. It had been established in 1966. It was renting rooms at a local high school, and the local farmers and local business people had made arrangements for college classes to be given at this local hospital, at this local high school. They eventually, in the 70s, got a land grant from the state of Maharashtra, and they got a grant of 33 acres to establish grounds for a future college building. And the local community were able to raise funds to begin construction of a building, but only enough to just lay the foundation. And it was at this moment in time that my mom and dad said, I want to do something to give back. And they said, we need help for this college. And that was in 1985, which happened to be the year that I graduated from high school, and the empty nest began. And mom and dad said, we would like to adopt this college as our third child. So mom and dad were very much like true parents for this college. But at the same time, they did what they did as part of a whole network. It was the Athens community, the Rotary community, Ohio University students and professors, and the local people of Maharashtra that came together, working together to make it possible to build this college. I've kind of included in the Athens community, there's an overlap there, but with Ohio University, nothing had been officially established with Ohio University, but Ohio University, as part of the community of Athens, played its role. We had, so my mom and dad, very much like parents, gave their love, attention, advice, funding support, everything really that the college could need to grow. And so just a few examples I have here are a water project that the Athens Rotary, teaming up with one of the local Rotary clubs in India, did to provide clean drinking water for the college. Just another example is the Gene Engel Auditorium, which was built from funds supplied by a local businessman in Athens County. And the Croce Library that was established. There are just so many people that have played a role, and I'm just going to take a moment, and I'm sure I'm going to miss some people, but I just can't help but mention some of the people who have come to Gawande College and provided their support in so many ways. Drs. Manju and Raju Koshal, Professor Amritjit Singh, Carl and Helen Roberts, who were Rotarians, and Carl Roberts actually wrote the Ohio history textbook that I read as a child going to school here in Athens, Ohio, and that was distributed throughout Ohio. The Croce family, Dr. Croce, Hank and Suzanne Croce, who were physicians here. Carl and Helen Roberts' children, Bob and Lilia Russell, Leighton and Julie Stewart, Max and Sheila Mark, the Shanmugam family, Dr. Sean and his wife, Susie. We had people who went and stayed and worked with people there, such as Tom Boland and Annie Mark. Photojournalism students from Ohio University, the photojournalism students put this region on the map literally by taking photographs and documenting the story of people there. And then more recently, and Dr. Hari Shankar, who was a professor of mathematics here. And then more recently, Dr. Shankar's son, Anu Shankar, who is now at Harvard University, has established a project there, which I'll speak about a little bit later. We have a master's student, Pranoy Rai, who's working on a project related to hunger and food security there. And Briju Thankacharan, who is doing his PhD in technology issues, who is helping to get this university connected to the internet. So the college today, I just want to give you a snapshot picture of the college today. We have a number of departments here: botany, chemistry, commerce, computers, economics, English literature, history, Marathi literature, mathematics, physics, political science, zoology. A little background about the way that the system in India is structured. In India, you have colleges sometimes that combine the last 2 years of what we call high school, as well as your bachelor's degree program. So you will have what's called a junior college, which has your high school program, and your senior college, which has your bachelor's degree program. So the college has both. And so it has programs in arts, science, and commerce, both for your high school degree and for your bachelor's degree. It also provides a master's in arts and a master's in various of the scientific fields. It also provides vocational degree courses, which are often taken by the local people in the community. It's a largely agricultural region, and so the vocational department is oriented towards the agriculture in that region, and you can take courses there without being a full-time student. So the college has worked to provide assistance to the local community. We have 2,100 students there, and that there's just a little picture. For those who've gone to visit the college, and those who might go in the future, you will find that the students are so appreciative of everyone who comes, and they wear their hearts on their sleeves. And if anyone wishes to go and visit, they will receive you with incredible, incredible warmth. It is so meaningful to the students to meet people from beyond their region. I remember as a child going there, and they would ask me to just sign my name in their notebooks. And they will do that for anyone that comes to visit because it's such an honor. It's so meaningful to them. The students there have spoken about how important it has been for them to have this college there. Many have had to travel from far regions in order to have the opportunity to take courses and to get the degrees that they're looking for. Female students have talked to me about how they would not be able to go to college at all if this college were not there because their families would not let them live away from home. And if they can't live away from home, well, there's no college to go to. But because this college is there, they can live at home and their families can let them go to school and get an education. A snapshot of some of the work that the college is doing. So what has really impressed me is that even though our professors have very few resources, they are able to conduct very sophisticated research projects with the resources that they have, and they have managed to publish over 100 research papers, including in national and some international journals as well, and they have given a number of talks at various conferences throughout India, and a few have been invited to speak at international conferences in Thailand and Malaysia. they we have the Community Health and Education Project, which is the project that Dr. Anu Shankar is heading. And this is a project that works to team the university up with the local social workers who are working in the local villages to try to address the various health issues that are affecting particularly children and pregnant women. The key challenges for the college today are really, I really focus on 3 areas. One is technology, the other is infrastructure, and the third is career development. Technology. We are all used to emailing and Google searching on a daily basis. I asked the students there how many of them had email accounts. There were hardly any that raised their hands, and those who did, it was because their families were wealthy enough to have a computer at home. Even some of the professors did not know what a Google search is. So while the university is able to connect through a cable landline to get internet access, it's actually not cable, it's actually through the telephone systems. And so it's a very slow system. It's not reliable enough to have video conferences or to do anything sophisticated other than some simple searches, some simple emails, and some simple downloads. There is no Wi-Fi there. So the environment that we all take for granted, we remember our days as students, where you have your computer room, and now people have their laptops at home, where you do your papers on the computer and your emailing, that just doesn't exist there. So how can you bring these students into the global economy if they can't even get on the internet? So that's a big project that we have, and Ohio University has already sent one of its graduate students to the college who is working on this issue, and that's Briju Thankacharan, and we have a lot of hopes for making progress in that area. Infrastructure, just maintenance of buildings, having clean sanitary bathrooms. The female students spoke to me about how there was only one bathroom for all the female students. So basic infrastructure is always a struggle. There's a small canteen there where students can get some food, but but there's no room to actually eat there indoors, and so we're trying to provide facilities for students to have a nutritious meal at the college. Career development, this is huge. When I spoke to students and I asked them about what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do when you graduate? Most of them come from farming families. I asked them, how many of you want to work in farming and agriculture? No one raised their hand. But at the same time, their English skills are not strong. They're not able to get on the internet. So how do we get them? I mean, they're bright minds, they're eager, so how do we get them up to speed? There's no career development office there. There's no career development counselor there. They learn from the generosity of their professors and the chairs of their departments who help guide them. So there's a lot of room for growth to take this school as far as it's come, to take it to the next level. And that's where the partnership comes in. And it was the vision of my mom and dad to create something that would last beyond their lifetimes and beyond our lifetimes. And we are so grateful that Ohio University has taken an interest in forming this partnership, because Ohio University has tremendous resources that it can offer this college in helping the college grow and develop, and the university has already begun doing that, and we're really grateful for that. Ohio University designated Brooke Hollowell, who does a lot of international work, a lot of international research work, and she came to the college last year and met with everyone as a representative of Ohio University. And she has really been spearheading the effort to establish the partnership, lay the groundwork for it, and really make it possible to move forward. So I want to invite Brooke and welcome Brooke to tell us a little bit about that partnership.
So, what we're envisioning with the gift from the Gawande family is that we'll have about 2 faculty members per year who travel to GST College and participate interactively with the whole of the college. And what you see there, I'm not going to read through the list, but these are lots of examples of things we envisioned when talking with the faculty there. As Mita said, we met with all of the different faculties. We went department by department when we were there, and we had wonderful opportunities to meet with students and talk with them. So we got lots of ideas, and we have brainstorm lists much longer than this about possible projects. So what we'll be doing is encouraging people to learn about GST College and how we can interact with them, leave their mark, as President McDavis was talking about. It's a phenomenal opportunity to make a difference. Just as small gifts small financial contributions have made amazing differences in the infrastructure at GST College, small amounts of effort of person-to-person contact and actually working there make a phenomenal difference. And it's definitely a mutual, reciprocal difference that it makes. So sometimes we might think we would be going to help underserved people, but in fact, I think we come back feeling so enriched and rewarded and so edified from those exchanges. As Mita said, with very few resources, it's amazing what the faculty have accomplished there. It's really incredible when you see just the most basic laboratory facilities, and then people who are publishing extensively in some of the science areas especially. Just amazing. Having been a department chair for many years, I can say that it made me really appreciate how spoiled we are with the kind of resources that we have and the things that we complain about in terms of their impact on our productivity. So we will be encouraging people to think about possible ways of engaging with the college, and it certainly doesn't only need to be through these travel grants that will be available to only about 2 people per year. So there are many other ways we may interact, and I'm so glad that we now have Dr. Edmonds here, whom you'll meet in a moment, who can help us think about how most effectively to do that. So our plan is really to get this off the ground. The partnership has been announced officially on Ram Gawande's birthday at the GSG College, and there's a lot of enthusiasm there. What we plan to do is this year develop the proposal guidelines for people who would like to participate in the partnership through the endowment, and the call for proposals will come out in the early winter. Then there'll be a selection process, and those who are planning to go, we're going to work with in terms of the priorities at GSG College and what the real needs are there, and then have those interface with whatever the expertise is that the faculty members bring to the partnership. So, thank you.
With that, we're so thrilled that the Center for International Studies at Ohio University has a new director who is actually taken on a larger title, which reflects Ohio University's commitment to international work, and that's the new Vice Provost for Global Affairs, Dr. Lorna Jean Edmonds, who has just begun her position at Ohio University. And I am so thrilled that you've been able to just jump right in and be here today. She comes from the University of Ottawa in Canada and has done extensive work in international development and higher education and viewing higher education through the international lens. that's just a snapshot of the kinds of work that she's already done. And I'm personally thrilled that she's here today. So, welcome.
I'm not sure who's happier to be here, actually. As a new member of Ohio University, I can't tell you how privileged I feel to be your Vice Provost for Global Affairs. And I can't tell you how privileged I feel to be here, part of India in Athens, because in many respects, India is a home for me, because I have spent many, many years in India. And I've probably been collectively to many of the communities in India that this room has been in, and perhaps even a few more, because it's been a journey of about, well, almost 20 years. So it's not insignificant. And in that journey, I've seen a significant transformation of India in that time. But at the same time, I've seen that it still has its challenges, like we do here. So, in being your Vice Provost, I must admit that I also had the opportunity, as I'm here, to kind of see a little bit more about Ohio University, about Athens, and then just in this week to learn about your incredible contribution of this family. And I watched the video of your father and of his legend here, and I must admit I captured the moment where you talked about adopting your college, GSG College, and I was taken by that because I've actually adopted 2 children in my own family, and I have 4. And you chose not to adopt a 3rd child, as you said in the video. You chose to adopt a university, and in doing that, you've adopted thousands of young people, thousands, right? But there's more to the story, because you've now, through this partnership, you've adopted us. And so that's even many more thousands. But the partnership, to me, is the value of what you've adopted. And that's different, because that's truly a union. And that's a union that we are now responsible to foster and shepherd and build and get the synergy out of it that you want. And, you know, one of the reasons, if I can take a moment to say why I came here, and what I see is some real synergy between this relationship and the university, is that, you know, excellence breeds excellence. That's a given, right? But there's more to this story, in my humble opinion, that I see at this institution, that I also see in your family. You are a family and a university of distinction. You are a family and a university that's about access for everybody. You are a family and a university that cares. But you just don't care about your family here. In fact, the vision of the university, which I believe your family's vision is, you want to be transformative. And then I take it from the music, the classical piece. It's inspirational. You know, when she said, you know, don't eat and don't do anything, and I'm thinking, I got to take some notes here, because as I'm listening to the music, I'm embracing the magic of this moment. And this, to me, is a very powerful moment in time, because in this partnership, what brought us here was, in effect, a new partnership, a marriage between Tavor and Mita. You know, a special union. And I think that in itself is worth celebrating. So thank you for bringing us here because of your partnership. But as your Vice Provost, oh yes, very special. But as your Vice Provost, I commit to working with all of you, the Athens community, the Rotary, my new colleagues at OU, to shepherd this relationship and see if we can leverage this magic that you've created among us, not between us, among us. And I will do it with diligence. We will do it by doing it right. And we will do it with ingenuity, which is all about Atol. And your work is international and highly regarded, just like OU. I am delighted to be your Vice Provost, And I'm just as proud as anything to be here, sharing this moment to, I guess, to formalize, celebrate, acknowledge this relationship that I know in due time you will see great things coming out of this, because our students, our faculty, and our administration will do great things with the opportunity you've given us. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll close the formalities today, at any rate, with a performance of The Impossible Dream by Alan Boyd, accompanied by George Weckman. Gentlemen.
I want to add that this was a special request from my mother, because my father loved to have these two gentlemen perform. And so any event that he had, and many of you may remember the district conference that was held here, both of these gentlemen performed. And so to close the event, we thought it would be fitting for him to sing The Impossible Dream.
It's a great honor to do so. You may know this song is from the musical The Man of La Mancha, based upon the story of Don Quixote, and I know it was an inspirational tune to Ram and Sushi. And at the end of this very inspirational program, I hope it will be an inspiration to you. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, however how hopeless, however how far, to fight for the right without husband or cause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I'll only be true to this wonderful quest, that my heart will be peaceful and pure when I lay to my rest. And the world will be better for this, that one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star.
Okay, well, that again concludes the formal part of the events here for this afternoon. And I guess you stay around and meet and greet and enjoy the rest of this wonderful holiday and commemorative weekend. Bye-bye.